The second season of 2024 for the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miata Championship has become a mano-a-mano battle between teammates for the title. Only 11 points separate leader Camden Hibbett, pursuing his first title, and second place Morgan Burkhardt, a teammate and already a three-time champ. And claiming the title to be decided tonight will put the competitors to the ultimate test on the rough and tumble Sebring International Raceway. At other venues, smooth is fast, but at Sebring, smooth is impossible because it's literally a moving high-speed 7-point shaker rig. So whoever wins the title tonight will surely have done so the old-fashioned way. They will have truly earned it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Championship Night here at Sebring. I'm Greg Creamer, joined as always by my good friend Kyle Heyer. And I'll tell you what, Kyle, even though it's down to a two-person battle for the championship, for those in that next group down to the top 10, there's still an awful lot to race for.
There's still some great battles, especially for third in the championship. There's a number of drivers still mathematically eligible to make their way forward, and it's a big field tonight. This is a racetrack that these drivers all have experience at, real world or sim, so they're going to be aggressive tonight. We've seen finishes be 2-3 wide, thousandths of a second apart. You can't get a better finale racetrack for Full Send Sims than Sebring.
No, you definitely can't. And keep in mind as well that if any of the top three have already in a calendar year won one of the hardware prizes or are an instructor or an administrator for the series, they're not eligible. So right now we think it's Josh Soto would be the highest placed guy in the points that could earn some of the hardware. So even though you're not in that top three, you've still got a shot at some of that incredible hardware. Just remind everybody, first place is a Sabel GT pad race seat. I mean, that's really remarkable. Second place, SimLab XP1 pedals. Third place, the iFlag LED flag box, which I know you're a big fan of, and I think it's great for everybody to have it. So there's still some serious motivation for those that aren't in that top two for the championship battle tonight. But as you talked about, Kyle, I think there's three drivers still mathematically with a shot for third in the championship, four mathematically for fifth. And, you know, you want to finish as high up as you can. And let's not forget the challenge of Sebring itself.
Yeah, this place, you call it a four-post shaker rig of a racetrack, and everyone will always tell you when you come down here for the 12 hours that 12 hours at Sebring is harder on cars than 24 at Daytona. This place, the surface changes, the concrete here several feet thick. It hasn't moved since the airfield was constructed in the World War II era. It's been a racetrack since the 1950s, and those parts that have been concrete for decades and decades have not moved, really. I mean, they've shifted perhaps over time, and they've gotten some bumps and undulations, but it's all original concrete there. So those asphalt sections and back onto the concrete, there's tons of transitions that make it challenging. You got some big curbs in some places, especially in the first sector. You're kind of threading the needle there through turns 3 through 6. And then you've got big, heavy braking zones into turn 7, the safety pin, into turn 10 at Cunningham, and other places on the course. This is a racer's racetrack. Everyone loves driving here. There's also places you can get lost right here as you head into some of the S's over by Bishop Ben, Jean de Vienne, Le Mans. It's easy to get yourself kind of crossed up, especially when you're packed into traffic. And Greg, we will be packed into traffic.
Oh yeah, they'll be driving through a lot of windshields tonight. There's no question about that. Here's the track layout, and you were talking about it. The only thing consistent about Sebring are the bumps and the pavement changes. And you've got that really tricky technical part, 3, 4, 5. There's a huge bump right where you are starting to seriously brake. Going into turn 7, a great overtaking area, it can throw you offline. This track just throws a lot at you. And of course, the bumps under the bridge in 17 and into turn 1 are legend with very good reason.
Beautiful racetrack as well from high above, and we'll get to see plenty of scenes from it tonight as qualifying is already underway. And this is a pretty critical qualifying session, especially for those two at the top of the standings. And perhaps no surprise, they're already atop the standings. It's Morgan Burkhardt over Camden Hibbett by half a second, though, Greg. That's a big margin that Burkhardt leads over Hibbett. But Hibbett's half a second clear of Joshua Soto, so they are in their own zip code, halfway to Tampa by this point. Is how far up they are up the order. So Morgan and Camden are definitely in a two-horse fight.
Well, and you want to be qualified up with those front two row, and then Morgan has a big moment there. I think that's going to cost him a little bit. It is Camden Hibbett has the margin in poles. He's got 8 compared to 6 to Morgan. However, they are dead even in wins. But here's really the big story: is that Camden Hibbett has been a consistent 94% of the time he's in the top 10. 88% he's in the top 5, and simply Burkhardt cannot match those numbers. The only guy who's been better than that in terms of Camden is 100% for Rice Budo in the top 10. He just hasn't put together those big point wins and top 5s at the same level here. So I think this is going to be absolutely fascinating to see how this plays out tonight. And, keep in mind, you've got guys that are teammates that are racing each other. And I'm looking to see, and yes, Giancarlo Schooler is here. And after watching, I went back up, I couldn't be obviously at Road America, for the call with you guys. And you and Finian did a brilliant job, by the way. But it was fascinating to me that I think the most unnerving thing in the world, if you're going for a championship in this series, is having the 110 of Schooler right behind you.
Yeah, he was
because he's going to attack,
wasn't he?
Oh, it was unbelievable. He just would attack and at the most inopportune spots, and it just throws off the strategy that you might have otherwise worked out. The interesting thing is he's a teammate to those two guys, Burkhardt and Hibbett, but he clearly, he was going for the win, and he just chucks it around. He's so exciting to watch here, and fearless, super aggressive, gets after it. I think Joshua Soto, after that race at Road America, those races, after being taken out and having problems early, I think he's going to have the bit between his teeth. Deacon Greenfield has certainly been on form, and we'll be looking for that as well.
Yeah, Deacon Greenfield is in position to get some of those hardware prizes as well, so he's absolutely going to be chasing Olivier Piatek as best he can and maybe move up one spot in the running there. But you mentioned the 110 of Giancarlo Schooler and the fact that he's teammates with those front runners, but the PRG guys have shown that when push comes to shove, it's race time, right? They work together when it's convenient, but they also race each other probably the hardest of anybody else out there. What was interesting to me was that Camden was working alongside Morgan Burkhardt and choosing to help him forward, even though he was battling him in the championship. So we could see something like that here tonight as well, because Camden would rather just fight Morgan 1v1. So I would not be surprised to see them work together to try to drive away from everybody else.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing we were seeing that was interesting, particularly in that second race, Morgan kept short braking. Anytime he'd get a gap and then Hibbett would run him down, and he could see the gap from Hibbett back to third, he started short braking and to slow down Hibbett and get those guys to come back after him. And if it weren't for that slowdown on that that last lap, it may have paid off for him. So Hibbett's going to be wise to that, and I wonder how long he puts up with that without giving him a little bit of a boot.
Joshua Soto giving way there to Morgan Burkhardt. Everyone's trying to get at least one more qualifying lap in. I think that's all they're going to have time for. Soto, and then how about this driver, Andrew Wozencroft, currently 4th on the timesheets. This is a really strong qualifying run for him, up inside the top 5, and that would be outside row 2, which is not a bad place to be in turn 1 at Sebring, because you've got a place to escape when things go wrong.
Well, you're right, and the one thing I noticed in that first race at Road America, I don't know that Beans obviously got a great start, but Camden decided to juke out and leave Beans hanging, and it slowed Camden down, and that's why, you saw Morgan and Rice Budo get to the front so quick. This time maybe, depending upon what happens, the guy, behind, if somebody doesn't get the best of starts, he may still want to stay there and give him a shove and get him back into it. So we'll see how that's going to play out. I just got to say, I was also mightily impressed with what Andrew Gilliland did at Road America. 2 top 5s and a couple of them well-placed up into the top 5s. He is really coming along here as a driver, doing some great stuff in terms of his racecraft.
Yeah, P8 in qualifying here as well, putting himself in contention to move forward into a top 5 position as well, out-qualifying Schooler and Beans Forster. That's no light task either.
Not at all.
A surprise is Nathan Nicholson down in 12th place. That's perhaps a bit unnerving. We've seen Nathan Nicholson run up there with the front runners before, but he's got some work to do.
Yeah, the other thing to me is seeing right now, anyway, Beans Forster sitting there in the 10th spot, because he's shown, he's been qualifying much better here, including a pole, obviously at Road America. So he's got pace, and I notice he's got the rally socks on. Normally he would have them on the correct foot, but that's a rally hat move right there, so we're going to go with the rally socks move. The other guy I'm surprised with is right now Jean Reyes, way down the order, and he's usually right up there knocking on the door of a top 10 in qualifying.
Yeah, and there's a big field tonight, over 30 cars as well, so there are some new names and faces kind of poking into the mix. These in the 212 is a new name. I don't think we've seen this driver before. Making their first start, and
Sally Mott.
Yep.
I don't recall Sally. Elliott Burton. Yeah, so we definitely have some one-off drivers here, and it's great, getting them introduced to the championship. That's fantastic. Another guy to keep an eye on that's back in 9th right now. We'll see where this ends up. Is Nathan Nicholson, who we know has some serious pace.
And Nicholson just picked up. Remember, he was, I think, 12th a moment ago, so he's now inside the top 10. A little bit more representative of what we would anticipate. He's not going to have time to complete this lap, though. And I don't think, I don't think Camden Hibbett is either. It's going to be close. He might get one more, but he has not been able to eat into Morgan Burkhardt's advantage. And I don't think it's going to be a huge deal whether Camden or Morgan start on left or right for turn 1, because they're going to just get in line and fight it out anyway. But I think for some of the other drivers, this qualifying has been a challenge. Martin Ramirez in the 981, 4th lap, yet to have a lap time put on the board.
Wow. That's a struggle for him, obviously, trying to get something in here. You talked about Wozencroft, and once again, Deacon Greenfield looking really good, sitting 5th right now over defending champion Nicholas Rice-Puto. And Nicholas comes in here. He's in 4th, has a shot at 3rd, but there's no way he can get to the championship, so we'll have a new champion tonight. Will it be a repeat champion? Making Morgan a 4-time champ, or will it be Camden Hibbett here? It's going to be an absolutely exciting night to see how that plays out.
Camden Hibbett has put himself in contention for a title, but he's going to have to beat a 3-time Full Send Sim Spec Miata champion to do it, and that is no easy feat. Now, the one thing that does help, though, is his 11-point advantage, Greg. So as long as he finishes ahead of Morgan in at least one of these races and doesn't have a catastrophic second race, then he should be okay. But you can't rest on the advantage you've got, because we've seen how quickly things can go wrong, especially at these tracks like Sebring, like Road America, where things can turn on their head so quickly.
I mean, you bet, and we've seen, as of late, we've seen 8-9 car trains for the lead, and somebody decides to get crazy aggressive and dive out of line, and you get caught out by it. Well, that can end things here, as the session is closed. Burkhardt by almost half a second on pole. I don't think that's going to be indicative of what's going to happen in the race. But Soto, Wozencroft, Greenfield, Rice-Puto, Wanchi Lin late in that jumps up to 7th. Jean Reyes, who is way back for a long time, pops up into 8th, and he's been mightily impressive this year as well. Big surprise to me, Beans Forrester 12th.
Yeah, he's going to have to race everybody else up to the front, which often that can be a lot of fun, but in his position, I think he'd rather just start up front and stay there rather than have to battle his way through, Greg.
I think so, and he's the guy sitting in 3rd right now, so he'd like to be able to hang on to that. Got to say a huge thank you for the final time this season to Full Send Sims and Cord Schmidt, taking that extensive military sim background and his love of real-world racing, putting them together and creating sims that are tremendous tools. Yeah, they're fun, and to be able to go out and have some fun, but they're also tremendous training tools. That's how Full Send Sims is built, and that means practice makes podium. We also have a wonderful new sponsor that came in here as well. FARA, that's the Formula and Automobile Racing Association, joined us about midway through the season. FARA is a Florida-based championship that's looking to expand next year, and they really provide the most accessible road racing series for spectators and drivers. No ticket cost to get in, a minor parking fee, low entry fees. They do it right. And they have everything from prototypes to GT cars to Formula cars, and their new Pro Spec Miata series as well, which has just been fabulous. And of course, the guys that have been with us right from the beginning as well, 3P Logistics, huge thank you to Frank Rodriguez. They've been with us since the very first season in 2023. And Final Turn Motorsports and Rob Greenwood, both of them tremendous prep shops, trackside support programs. They just do it all and do it incredibly well. And of course, Wine Country Motorsports has been with us for a long time as well. And they remain the racer's resource for helmets, suits, gloves, shoes, seats, harnesses, and they've been that for over 30 years. So, boy, I'll tell you, we've got some great sponsors, and we can't wait for this race to get underway here and wrap up this season.
Yeah, 2 20-minute races back-to-back as always here. Finishing out at Sebring. This is not the first time we've been to this venue this season. We raced on the short configuration earlier in the season. We had some exciting battles there, but this full course is really where I think these cars put on the best show. Cars are rolling off and away around the 3.7-mile course. Let's kick things off, Greg, with that starting lineup.
All right, starting on pole once again is 7th pole Morgan Burkhardt in the number 40, joined by points leader Camden Hibbett, second in the 132.
And third place in row 2, it'll be Joshua Soto in that number 77. He's in contention for those hardware prizes. He'll roll off alongside Andrew Rosencroft, an incredible qualifying effort for the number 80 in 4th.
Yeah, super job by Rosencroft, sitting 12th in the points right now. Deacon Greenfield, another great qualifying effort in that beautiful number 20, starts 5th. Nicholas Rice-Pluto, our defending champion, starts 6th in the 03.
7th place, Juan Sheen-Lind in the 68. Nice effort there. And John Reyes, late in qualifying, got up to 8th. He'll start on the outside of row 4.
And starting in the 9th spot, the 110, Mr. Excitement himself, Giancarlo Schooler, joined by another guy who could have that moniker, Nathan Nicholson, starting 10th in the 195.
In 11th place, it's Andrew Gill, and the number 91 had a great round at Road America, trying to repeat that success here tonight. Beans Forster will roll off on the outside of row 6. Work to do, but he's capable.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch him work his way up. Starting 13th, number 99, a guy who's had a really impressive season, Dean Dipdahl. And starting in the 14th spot, the 200 of Dylan Lee.
15th place, he's Elliot Burton in the number 6, a new name to the series. Adrian Hand starts alongside him in the 931.
Starting next up in 17th, the number 33 of Cord Schmidt. Starting 18th, Joshua Clatterbuck in his 901.
Jim Friedhofer starts 19th in the 89, and Sally Mott, new to the series, rolls off 20th in her first start.
Starting 21st, the 221 will be Charles Vaccaro, and starting in the 22nd spot, the 61 of Andrew Gaeta.
And in 23rd place, Arif Aziz in the 212, alongside Wade Buttermore in the 24th spot in that 73 car.
And starting 25th, the 70 of Al Ducharme, and in the 26th spot, the 22 of Rich Green.
And 27th place is Dave Brown's number 105. 28th, the 981 of Martin Ramirez.
Starting 29th, the 205 of Charles Boley, and starting 30th, Sawyer Richards in his 125. Looks like he'll be starting from pit lane.
Yeah, he will, and he'll also join Evan Hamitman in the 372. And Jose de las Casas, who is on the racetrack, he will roll off 32nd, but he'll actually be 30th in line. Greg, every time we come to Sebring, what do we talk about? Turn 1.
Turn 1 and the bumps. You bet. Yeah.
This front straightaway into turn 1, it can either go very, very well or turn into a real mess real fast. And for the championship contenders, they best be, thinking everyone in their program, virtual or real, to get them up on this front row. Because if you're in the middle of the pack, your chances of making it out if there's a wreck in that first corner are slim.
Yeah, I mean, turn 1 is the maybe definitive bottleneck, isn't it? So wide going in, and then narrows up massively. And, you got the bumps in 17, but the bumps in turn 1 are just about as bad. And that's where, 17 and 1 in particular, but there's a couple other spots. If you can get underneath somebody, get them off that prime line, you can force them to get caught out by those bumps. This is a track where you can still hustle a driver into making mistakes. Remember, a lot of these guys are using the gated gear shift. And, that's another opportunity to force somebody into a misshift on a downshift. We've seen that happen. So, pace car is in. Our final 2 races of Season 2 of 2024 for the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miata Championship, and we are green. And here we go. They fan out already, about 5-6 abreast, it looks like, back in the pack. Look at this as they head into turn 1, but it is your pole sitter defending, heading in, and he's got a lot of company. And look at Hibbett trying to sweep the outside, and a car already up. That was Wozencroft. After that great qualifying effort, is out already. Well, at least a hard hit, Kyle.
Yeah, backed into the tires pretty hard there in turn 1, but he was the only driver that didn't make it out of turn 1. Everyone else makes it to 3 at least. Burkhardt, Hibbett, Soto, Schooler. Big lunge there by Jean Reyes. He's up 2 spots already in the first quarter of a lap.
Yeah, up into that 6th spot. Really, really good start for him. Every time we see that, when they fan out 6-7 abreast into 1, you just sort of hold your breath. And somehow they all made it through here. Here you can see Reyes with Lynn right on his 6. Here comes Nicholson. Forster already up from 12th into the 9th spot, looking for more.
Yeah, he's not waiting around, is he? John Reyes, big lunge there behind Giancarlo Schooler, and some context. Elliott Burton got shoved wide in that number. Actually, that's a 981 of Martinez that got hit. Shoves him a little wide, but he managed to keep it on the road, pointed the right direction. And we've gotten through 7 as well without a whole lot of drama, so honestly not a bad first lap. Here comes Hibbett, though, for the lead.
Yeah, he wants it. He's going early here. He's got that inside position. Makes that turn work into turn 10. And now sweeps through this tricky, beautiful section here, the Collier curves, after getting it right through 10 and now up into the tower turn. Really crucial. And look at, Morgan wanted, I think that was more to try and see if he could get Hibbett to sort of, defend inward just a little bit. Hibbett didn't bite, and Morgan realized, I better swing it back out or I'm going to lose my exit run. And look what Hibbett was able to do as a result. He didn't bite on that, and it hurt Morgan just a tad.
And look at Josh Soto in 3rd place. That's where he started. He fell right into line. It is already pressuring Morgan Burkhardt for 2nd. And I hesitate to call him a wild card given how good he's run this season, but I don't know if anyone really fully expected to get up there and get toe-to-toe with Camden and Morgan in this championship battle, but if anyone could do it, Soto's in position to right now.
Yeah, and then as we talked about, Mr. Nerves, the 110 of Giancarlo Schooler, has worked his way up into 4th. Deacon Greenfield right there in 5th where he qualified, but Jean Reyes on a march up into 6th right now as well. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Nicholson sitting in that 7th spot. It's a great group, as we often find here, up into that top 10. So close here.
I heard contact with the inside wall as if someone turned in a little too early, but I didn't see any. Ooh, I think I know who it was. Andrew Gilliland coming down pit lane.
No.
I don't know if it was contact or if it was a motor. It might have been the latter. Already happened here. Let's go back a little further.
Yeah.
Held the rest a little too long there, and I mean that is such a catastrophic way to end. There's no coming back from that.
No.
Just day over.
And he had a shot of finishing in the top 10 in points. That's not going to help here, as Deacon Greenfield now working the outside of Nathan Nicholson, trying to hang on to it here. Reyes right behind Nicholson. What a lap he's driven. He's gone from, I think, 8th up into 5th. This has been absolutely superb for him. And here comes Wan Chi Lin trying to make a move on Reyes. Oh, look at how close this is.
They tried to all tuck in line together, and they didn't fit, so the 29 had to pop out of line. They were all trying to work together, but there wasn't space to do so, and they'll get mostly single file, but Forster still alongside Lynn, leaving the safety pin and up towards now Fangio and Cunningham.
Yeah, and it's really a struggle. When you're back in the pack, what happens is it isn't just the speed thing. You may have more speed, but you find more cars running side by side in front of you. There's no place for you to go. And so here, it's just focus, and Beans is really good at that. There is that great shot, working the pedals here. And again, having some fun with the socks, but he's in for a long race here at this stage here. He's already up 3 spots, so I mean he's doing what he can. There's still plenty of race left, 15 and a half minutes.
Now a lot of racing still to go. Working lap 2 of a guesstimated 8, and Camden Hibbett's feeling some pressure. Morgan Burkhardt is here. He's going to look to the inside and take a lunge.
Yeah, and you could almost sense that was going to be happening. But Camden was banking on, that he'd have more pace. But now he's going to get a little bit better run through here if he times it right. He did, and he used that outside when ended up way wide, and you think, he's off track. Well, that's where you're talking about. Sometimes it looks like you're getting lost, but if you're way out there and the guy in front of you runs just a little wide of the apex, you've got a great drive coming up down this long back Ullman straight into turn 17. And Morgan goes from 1st to 3rd as Beans now in position under Wan Chi Lin. Wan Chi in really deep with a huge head of speed here. And he saved it, but he's going to lose that spot.
Yeah, I saw Morgan Burkhardt's brake lights flashing going off into Sunset Bend, and that was just, a tap, just to get back in line behind Joshua Soto, because had he been to driver's left of the 77, that would have opened the door for Schooler and Nicholson and others. So that was pretty smart. He just had to concede that now, and he'll fight it later. I think he's got plenty of time to move back forward, but there was no need to sit on the outside of someone through Sunset Bend.
Yeah, that's one of Morgan's really impressive strengths is his racecraft. Understanding this isn't the moment for this, and and he'll use all the tools, all the arrows in the quiver for sure. And he's just so good at it. And said, okay, third here is better than fifth or sixth if I get trapped outside.
Deacon Greenfield and Nathan Nicholson, they've gone back and forth a couple of times. Here's John Reyes. He had sixth earlier. He'd like it back. Give the 195 a shove here into the braking zone for turn 7. And Reyes will have to sit behind and wait. You can get 3 cars side by side there, but not for very long.
Right. Look at Beans. Really got a great run. Gave himself, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. He got through turn 7 incredibly well, and then boom, came right up behind Reyes and Greenfield, side by each, parked right where he wanted to go. And that's where it gets frustrating. And look, it's going to allow Juan Chi to come right back up and take a run at him here.
Whoa, Hibbett's a little wide at Cunningham, chasing the car across the road. And here comes Morgan Burkhardt. He got through Soto already. And now into tower turn, preferred line to the 40.
Yep, he's got it, and best thing Hibbett could do here. Now he's got that little wider entry here, and that gives him a really good run out, and we'll see what he's going to be able to do. Look at Juan Chi, what a turn he drove, and he's up inside of Beans, who's inside of Dibdall. 3 abreast through this section of track. Well, this is kind of spooky. Oh, and a little touch there.
Man, that was
He's
tight.
Still hanging on.
Watch that corner cut there, though, on the inside. You got to keep the center line of the car on the curbing, and I think he's done that, but he had to concede it.
But exactly.
Very close. It's a big slowdown back there as well.
And and Beans just got a really nice run on Dibdall and was able to pop out. And here comes Hibbett, speaking of popping out, coming down the inside of Morgan Burkhardt. These guys are dueling early here. And I think it's because they want to get the hell away from Giancarlo Schooler.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to lead the charge here? Well, Morgan, he got back on throttle so early, but then had nowhere to go with it. Now he's going to tuck to the inside here, which will be the outside for 1.
Yeah, this is just, he got a huge run through the final turn, didn't he? Sunset Bend, but as you said, Hibbett putting his car in absolute perfect position. Here comes Nathan Nicholson, 195 looking. This is a big lunge. He cleared Soto and almost got up underneath Schooler and may have done it here.
Oh, here we go. Here's Nicholson. He tried to take a look at Hibbett. It's chaos at the front now. Everyone trying to find some racing room. They've caught the leaders, and Schooler's got overlap on Hibbett now.
And how did Nicholson find a gap between Schooler and Reyes? I have no clue. He made that move. I don't know how he made it stick. Wow.
This is not what Hibbett wants. He does not want to fight anybody else. He'd love to just focus on the 40. It's already hard enough to beat him as is, let alone with a couple of hungry dogs biting at your heels here down into turn 7. Look at this, left, right, left.
Yep. Oh, and here comes Schooler. He's got the outside. Boy, if he could pit. No, he got in too hot. He ran a little wide. And you can see the car scrubbing just a little bit. But the one thing that Hibbett is very aware of, because he suffered from it in both races at Road America and at other times this year, is the minute Morgan has a lead and he senses the guy in second has a little bit too much of a lead over the guy in third, he'll just back you right up into it. And look at Giancarlo scrapping around the outside here in Cunningham.
Yeah, he's very quickly becoming a much bigger threat to Camden Hibbett's championship hopes there. As I think that was that Burton getting out of the way. Somebody just bailing, maybe Ramirez actually.
Yeah.
But they
smart move.
They can't let Morgan get more than an advantage that he's got. 0.6 of a second's a lot. So now they're gonna have to tuck back in line. I think Schooler senses that now. They can only play for so long before they start to really threaten to get lost by Morgan's number 40.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think top 4 right now are all PRG cars.
You are correct about that. Yeah, all teammates up there.
Yeah. So what do you do if you're Giancarlo Schooler or you're Nathan Nicholson? Do you want to screw up a championship for one of the guys up front? Because Giancarlo has certainly, it certainly looks to me like he couldn't care. He wants to win.
Yeah, and I think that's again, that's how the team has sort of raced in the past, right?
Yeah.
They only work together when it's convenient for both of them, right? If it's only convenient for one, it better be for yourself, right? So I don't think anyone's going to help Camden, but they'll work together if it's convenient. But I think Giancarlo's got his agenda set on himself tonight.
And Reyes, by the way, nice move there for 5th on Joshua Soto, and then Was that Soto that went wide, or was it Reyes?
Both. They were both out to defense. Oh, a little bit of a defensive check there.
Yeah, and then maybe even a little tap. But so Soto now has position inside of 1. But again, if you can pin the guy to the inside here, and he's got to, like that, tighten that exit up just a little bit, that just bleeds off speed, and that's exactly what happened. Soto could not keep his foot in it, had to breathe out of it, and Reyes able to use the outside to good effect there.
Yeah, Reyes has got some nose damage as well. It's not what you want to see for his straightaway performance. There's enough of straightaway here that you'd like to have all your performance.
Yeah, and we've talked about it, ever since that new damage model came out, when they get that wrinkle, and it does seem to affect, somebody. It isn't as bad as it would have been, say, at Road America, but there's still, as you said, plenty of long straights here.
Top 4 are pretty tightly compacted there. And again, as you pointed out, all teammates. Hibbett's going to look to the left. I'm not really sure what the end goal here is, other than trying to sling it around the outside of Cunningham. Tough spot to be on driver's left.
Yeah, it really is, but we'll see what he's able to do. And the other thing is I think he has realized that if he can stay outside, even if, it looks like he's going to get trapped through Tower, if he can stay outside, he's got the inside here at Collier. If he can stay to the outside, even if Morgan's there, Hibbett has been brilliant through Tower with that wider run and pinning, but this time doesn't play out. Here comes Schooler, as Hibbett could not get that run, and Schooler said, thank you.
Yeah, that didn't
jumps
work out.
To the inside. No.
If Morgan had to lift a little bit more and allowed Hibbett to keep that overlap there, he'd really force Morgan to kind of pinch off the corner. It's a very sharp apex, considering how fast you're going into it. So if you had to concede it and run side by side, that's one thing, but Morgan didn't have to do that, and here he is still leading with now Schooler in second.
Yeah, and now again, I think Morgan looking in his mirror is going, boy, I'd rather have anybody there but Schooler, because Giancarlo is just going to go for it. And we'll see how this plays out. Nicholson's still right there in that 4th spot. Reyes, Soto, 5th and 6th. Greenfield still a really good run at 7th. And Beans got to 8th, and he just stopped.
It's harder and harder to move forward the farther up you go. Whoa, big lunge from the 195, and Nicholson rather. And he takes 3rd place away from Camden Hibbett. He just snuck up there and took it.
Boy, that's not what Camden wants to see here. Whew, that's so wide. Soto, there's that little bump right as you exit 17.
Oh, look at Hibbett.
The squeeze play here.
Like grinding the rail like they're skateboarding down there.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at Greenfield on the outside.
Yeah, just ramping it around the outside. Makes it work. Hangs on to it. But Beans, is he going to be able to finally move up from that 8th spot? And it looks like no. Yeah, he does. He gets around on Greenfield, puts himself up into 7th. But boy, Greenfield, he ran the widest arc through 1 I've seen in a long time.
Dean Dibdahl, 13th to 9th. We haven't really talked a lot about him tonight, but
no, having a great run.
Yeah.
And Wan Chi battling for that 9th and 10th spot. Yeah, Dean, I think, has just had a superb season. He really has come of age here, I think, this year.
He really has. I think, given one more season, I think podiums are going to be on the regular for this 99.
I think so, too. Yeah.
Seen that be the case with Camden and Joshua Soto and others. The development in this series, really second to none. You can really learn a lot. The great thing about MX-5s, Greg, is it's one of the first cars that you might learn how to drive. And it's also where some of the best racecraft is learned and found and executed. So it's the barrier to entry is low, especially in the sim racing world, but you can really take that to a very high level.
Absolutely. And the other part of it is, I've talked about this a lot, driving momentum cars early, so you have to learn how to roll speed through corners, because any little blip in a car that's underpowered by design, you have that deficit all the way to the next braking zone. And if you can, and as you move up the order and you suddenly are running an 800 horsepower car, if everybody around you's got about 800 horsepower and you can roll more speed, it pays off. And then, as you said, Spec Miata, MX-5 Cup in real world, and any of the Miata series here in sim racing, that racecraft is absolutely extraordinary, because you've got to figure it out or you're never going to be at the front.
Camden Hibbett last time by ran his fastest lap of the race, but runs 4th, and this is not where he'd like to be. He's going to make a move on Nicholson here, because we're going to have 2 laps to go, Greg. He's got an 11-point advantage over Morgan Burkhardt. He would give up a lot of that if he were not on the podium, so he's got to make moves here. If he finishes second behind Burkhardt, no big deal, but third, fourth, fifth, that's not going to do it.
No, that's spooky territory. And again, did you see Morgan slow Giancarlo Schooler down a little bit? Because I think he'd like to have Hibbett working Giancarlo Schooler over here. And right now, I don't know, is Schooler, is he going to attack, or is he going to play gunner here and just keep giving Morgan the nudge in terms of the bump draft here? This is an interesting study of what's unfolding, plus a little bit of traffic coming up.
Yeah, Giancarlo Schooler's being patient right now, but we've seen the aggression play out earlier. And Morgan told us a couple of weeks ago that his strategy, the way that he's found so much success in this series, is just forcing everyone behind him to fight. And right now, Schooler's got no one to fight. So if he can force that battle, Morgan's in a much better spot. Looks like he's about to do just that.
Yep, and that's what Morgan does is he'll just overslow you a little in the corners to let those chasing cars come up behind you. He doesn't want a gap between the car right behind him and the car in third. He wants to have somebody taking the attention of the guy in second, and he's done a brilliant job of it once again, because Hibbett's there and Nicholson's there, and Reyes isn't that far back, is he, along with Beans and Soto?
No, he's right back there with a shovel to scrape up the remnants of whatever battle is about to come flying out this next lap and a half. I mean, he's ready to go. And honestly, Forster has had a nice run. And Greenfield's getting real defensive on Dean Dibdahl. And Dibdahl tries to get to the inside at Cunningham. He cannot. Yuan Shi Lin got a momentum rolling here. He's going to try the inside.
Yeah, and you can see Dibdahl's car was just squirming. He was on the brakes so hard. Offline where there's a lot of grip. And Yuan Shi pops now to the outside through Collier. Just couldn't quite get it done, but he's got a wider arc through if he can get to the throttle sooner. Oh, it didn't hurt that Dibdahl ran a little bit wide here. And it doesn't look like he had that much of a head of steam built up, does it?
New driver tonight, Sally Mott. She's doing a great job from 20th to 12th and leading Court Schmidt and Dylan Lee in a great battle.
Yeah, Sally, welcome to the Esports iRacing Spec Miata Championship for Full Sense Sim. She is doing a superb job.
Keeping her busy, though, that's for sure.
Well, for sure. But, I mean, coming up was that 8 spots she made up. So doing a nice job here. Yeah.
Dylan Lee started from pit lane. He must have, because I have no information for him, so must be the case.
Last to 14th. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Oh, look at this. It is once again the top 4 covered by. Here we go, the proverbial blanket. And 2 laps to go coming around here. So, who pulls the trigger when, do you think, Kyle?
Yes.
Vaguely accurate. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is white flag. We got 1:20 left to go, so this is going to be go time now. And that proverbial blanket, man, you're like a philosopher with all your proverbs as of late as we come through turn 1. And behind him, look at Forster on Reyes. This is going to be a nice little battle here, and Soto's going to get in the mix.
Yeah, Beans suddenly found opportunity. Went from 8th to 7th, now for 6th. Nice move by Beans, starting to dial it up a little bit.
Oh,
Soto and Reyes a touch. And Reyes had to give it up, or he was going to get speared off track. So, yeah, this is going to be fascinating here. Oh, and this race has flown by.
It has.
I couldn't believe it when I looked up, because you remember I said there's 15.5 minutes to go.
Yep.
It seemed like 3 minutes later I looked up, it was 4.5.
Well, for Morgan Burkhardt, it's about to be the longest 30 seconds of his life before we get back around to really run this timer out. For everyone else, they would like another lap or 2, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and what do for me, Hibbett's, this is a really kind of awkward position. Because does he lay back thinking that Giancarlo is just going to attack Morgan and knock him off track? Or does he want to try and get around Giancarlo? It's just a really difficult call, and Reyes and Soto still. I don't think there was any contact there. I think Soto just ran wide. Look at this.
I think there might have been some contact. That'll be a slowdown, I think.
You would think, is he just...
maybe not. I mean, that corner I've seen, well, these cars might be slow enough that it might self-serve, but either way,
true.
I mean, he kind of came out a couple feet ahead of where he was, but we'll let the stewards deal with that. Burkhardt, Schooler, Hibbett, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and the speed that he was running and never had that thing snap sideways in that grass was impressive. But here we go. Again, it is 1st and 3rd are the 2 guys going for the championship. Hibbett in 3rd, up by 11 points coming in. And Giancarlo, one of their teammates, how does this play out? Schooler runs a little wide, And Morgan moves over to defend when maybe he didn't have to.
Well,
and what is Hibbett going to do? This is going to, if Hibbett's going to do it, it's going to be a massive lunge into 3. There we go. Schooler going up along the outside. There goes Hibbett, diving down. He's down to the inside. What a move. Can he keep it parked? He floats wide. Here comes Burkhardt. They are side by side. They are even out of the last turn. Hibbett trying to squeeze Burkhardt. It is an absolute drag race.
Oh,
Who gets there first? He did it. Hibbett wins by 32 one-thousandths of a second with Schooler in third. Holy cow. That was a move of the gods by Hibbett. Oh, I'm done. That's it. You're on your own now.
That was unbelievable. A little contact here between Mott and Court. But, I mean, it's clinical is the face on Camden Hibbett right now.
No kidding.
I mean, are you kidding me, Greg? I had never seen a move that committed work out that well.
That was spectacular. And not to lose sight of it, Forrester on that last lap ends up coming through into 5th. But watch this move.
I mean, he just sees the door open to the inside, just turns it down. Huge lunge from 3 car lengths back maybe, pulls even here, and when he gets past Morgan, he's already on the brakes there to try to prevent the crossover. It's too late for that. Burkhardt turns in, and then it's just an on-throttle shifting battle all the way back to the stripe.
Right, and the thing that he did, Hibbett, right there was not go all the way out, and it kept moving right and pinching Morgan, so Morgan couldn't just let it free roll through that corner. And then Morgan trying to get that side draft. But watch what he does here. Yeah, watch this move from up high. This is, folks, if you've ever seen a surgical pass, this was it. Look at this.
Just picked his pocket.
Then brakes. Like you said, you can see the brake lights, but that's a great way to put it. And right here, he pinches him, does not go out wide, so Morgan cannot just let it free roll, full throttle through there. And that was just, look at that.
I'll bet you.
Wow.
Driver that had a really good perspective of this was probably Giancarlo Schooler. Let's watch this, because as they were coming down, we might get interrupted here at the end of the session. We'll try it again here. But Schooler, there's our interruption.
Yeah.
So give me a second. We'll get it fired back up here. Okay, let's try it again. So, so Hibbett was chasing. Who was I on board with? Schooler. So
Schooler.
Boom. And then off to the right. Watch this. And Schooler, if he didn't have to lift, he might have won that race.
I think you're right. If Morgan hadn't checked up just that smidge to get turned, I think Schooler was through. Wow.
That was wild. And then the other action moment with 2 laps to go was this one here between Soto and I think it was Jean Reyes. And I do believe there was some contact. Let's have a look at this again. Oh, man, Soto did not leave him a lot of space, but he moved back over before the corner. Right there, there's a little contact, and it shuffles Soto wide and just hammer down.
You're just waiting for that thing to bounce once and snap sideways. And somehow he held on to it. So we know Soto could do some rally racing.
And here was the race start again, and we were following along the 80 of Wozencroft, who went for a ride, and here's what happened to him.
Yeah, tremendous qualifying for him. It's just a shame. Here comes Greenfield to the inside. That Schooler way down to the inside.
They're 4 wide already. 5 now. 6. And they just ran out of space. Greenfield there, Schooler.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big hit there, too, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was.
Here's another look. So there's Schooler. They're 4 at the moment, and then Greenfield here.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Wozencroft, I don't think he knew that Schooler had been down underneath Greenfield.
No. And the spotters don't tell you more than 3, right? They'll only tell you 3 wide. They won't tell you 4. Not programmed in. So if you're more than 3 cars wide, you'll never know. You have to really be able to see it, and if it's in your blind spot, it's not going to happen.
Whew. So how do we beat this one?
Can we? I mean, it's going to be a championship. I mean, the thing is, Camden now extended his advantage, so it's going to be, pretty tricky for Camden to lose this now if he can finish on the podium, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's he's just got to stay with Burkhardt and he's got it done. But you look at the two finishes. Well, that first finish at Road America was what, 11 thousandths of a second. This one was 28 one-thousandths of a second. These margins of victory are just insane. And I think this next race is going to be one of the brouhahas of all time. They've got that rule that they put in. If you take somebody out by making a dumb move, essentially, and clearing out a bunch of cars in the first turn, you're going to get penalized and not be able to. Who cares? Last race, and you're going to go for it. So, and we've generally seen it. Although at Road America, it was kind of a huge surprise when the second race start was even cleaner than the first. What do you think is going to happen here? I think it's going to be insane.
You're right. This is the last race of the season, so you've got a long time to apologize before we fire things back up.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You might take some more chances here. If you're Morgan Burkhardt, your only hope to win this title is to get everybody else to beat Camden Hibbett, right? You got to get him off the podium, probably out of the top 5 to really give yourself the best shot, and then you got to win. So the deck is stacked against Morgan Burkhardt here, but we've seen that before, and he's been able to overcome it. I think if there's any driver that can do that and play, he's got to drive not only his car, but everybody else's. If there's anybody that can do it, it's Morgan Burkhardt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge ask today, or for the second race this evening. It's going to be a huge ask. If anybody can, it's him. Just with how close the pack is, how good this field is, I don't know that he's going to be able to pull it off. Unless somebody, inadvertently, I hope, were to get into Hibbett. I think, clearly it's Camden's to lose. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think that the challenge for Camden Hibbett is lap 1, turn 1. You cannot afford to get in the mix there, so you've got to be protective, but not in a way that puts you at risk, right? So that's a challenging proposition. I think it all comes down to how you launch, how you get a start, though. You're waiting on green, though. You can't just accelerate whenever. If this was typical iRacing rules, you'd go as soon as the pace car was off and you'd clear everybody out, but no,
right.
You've got to start on the green, and that creates a complication because everyone else accelerates when you do. So there's not really a lot Camden can do, and you just hope that he doesn't become a passenger here. If he can get through lap 1, I'm a lot less worried about it. Morgan's a hard racer. They've battled. They've had incidents before, but Morgan's not going to wreck anybody for a title. And certainly nobody else in the front would either. Accidents happen, but it's going to come down to the skill for these drivers tonight.
Well, I almost wonder, since Camden is going to be starting on pole, if he doesn't just go all the way to the inside, his left, driver's left on that front straight, make sure there's no gap underneath them, and just try and get through turn 1 from there so that he doesn't get caught in any kind of a squeeze play. We'll see what he does. I think that's what I do. We'll see what he does.
So checkered flag here on the warm-up, and we'll get down to the grid here and get things fired up momentarily. And what I'm also curious in is the weather. It was partly cloudy earlier. We saw the track temp fall a couple of degrees over the course of that race, but it was still a pretty hot temperature. It has come down 15 degrees track temp from where we started the first race, so that's significant. That might help in some of those slower corners when you're sliding the tires across the surface. But this is only, actually, I lied. It went right back up to 125 as soon as the session turned over. So it's right back to heat again. So here's why this is important, Greg, is that 125 only tells you the average track temperature. Or it's sampled from a point on the course, but it's effectively an average because the course changes so much. The challenge is the concrete is going to be a lot less hot than the asphalt is, and you're going to be facing different handling characteristics in each of these corners.
Well, that's it. There's so many pavement changes here that you've got to kind of be ahead of that game a little bit, knowing that, okay, here it's not going to be as grippy as here. And, then, be aware, like I said, that big bump into 7, make sure that you've got your braking under control when you hit that. All of these little things on this track that you may not have to think about at other ones because of these bumps, and that's what makes it so compelling. Just want to remind everybody, and we'll do it at the end quickly as well, but the award ceremony 2 Tuesday nights from tonight, the 23rd, live here on YouTube, 7 p.m., the award ceremony. And then the third and final season for the series for 2024 starts August 20th, Tuesday night. So this 2 weeks from tonight, the award ceremony, and then Tuesday night, August 20th, we start season 3. Again, 10 races. The one thing we haven't talked about, just should mention it real quick, is when we come in, it's a new rule and I really like it. For this race, this season, round 10 here, both these races, there are no drops in round 10. So as the points were coming in, they are set. So it's all or nothing tonight because all of these points tonight count.
So with the starting lineup on the left-hand side of the screen, I want to go over a couple of the stats points here before we do this final race. Camden Hibbett, Morgan Burkhardt, up until that race we just did, were tied with 8 race wins apiece. Camden had 14 top 5s to Morgan's 13 and 15 top 10s to Morgan's 13. Total points, 302 to 291. Camden completed 10 more laps than Morgan Burkhardt. Morgan had about 40 more incidents than Camden Hibbett did, but all that, basically their average rating was 124 for Camden Hibbett and 122 for Morgan Burkhardt. They are so tight in this championship, and 8 poles for Hibbett compared to Morgan's 6. Camden has just been marginally better than Morgan all season long, and this is really his last opportunity to be marginally better, and that would win him a title.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the other side of it, as I mentioned, 94% of the time Camden was in the top 10 compared to 81 for Morgan, and 88% of the time Camden was in the top 5 compared to 81 for Morgan. So, yeah, it's that, that basically comes up to 11 points, right? I mean, that's how close it was. So, these guys have been brilliant. I mean, this is like, I've announced a lot of racing in different things over the years, and every once in a while you find a scenario where when 2 guys get together and race, they just kind of go to the next level. And we've seen that with these 2 a few times this year.
Yeah, they have really brought each other to a whole new level. This whole team has elevated not only themselves, but everyone that they race against. And it's not like they're, they race clean, but it's not like they're holding back punches. They are racing hard. And I think that's what's so cool about this is they're not just teaching people, okay, you take one side of the track, I'll take the other. They are racing and doing battle and doing it in a way that generally comes out pretty well. So that's hard to do, even especially in the sim context where you don't have the seat of the pants feel. You don't really have a full 360 picture unless you're in VR like Deacon Greenfield. It is hard to do that, and they've done a very nice job.
They have. They've had their little touches and rubs and everything, but yeah, it's just been spectacular. And more often than not, it's been these 2 guys up at the sharp end, and it's been a joy to watch, and it's been a joy to announce. There's no question about that. And again, starting in the top 4, again, all teammates, and then Beans in 5th, Josh Soto in 6th, Reyes in 7th, Greenfield in 8th. Oh boy. Well,
without really much left to fight for, if you're not Hibbett or Burkhardt, I'm not sure the teammate is going to matter a whole lot. I think they're going to race each other like they're complete strangers, but doing a dance like they were meant for each other. So it's going to look like.
So too. That's a great way to put it.
Here we go. Time to go racing, Greg, one final time.
Yeah, what's Hibbett's strategy here? Looking for the green. Where does he go? We're green. And, he's got enough room here. You can see a Nicholson or a Schooler trying to dive down the inside. Here comes Reyes up and underneath Beans. And then look at Morgan just shut the door, come across, and look at this sweep from the outside by Nicholson. That was an interesting play for me here, and I'm not sure how it's going to look. At it's 4 abreast as they come to turn 2. Ooh, that's so close. And it is Nicholson into the lead, Burkhardt into 2nd, and Soto coming from, where did he start? I think 5th or 6th, up into 3rd.
He's 6th. He was leading that race
Unbelievable.
For 100 feet. He was leading down into turn 3. That was just crazy. And spin behind. It's Charles Vaccaro and Dean Dipdahl is the other car involved there.
Oh, okay.
Just to spin and continue, though. They'll be all right.
But what a shame for Dean.
But
look at this. Yeah. And look, here comes Deacon Greenfield up on the outside. He's technically in front of Camden here. Has that nose in front. Can he stay there?
This is intense. You see, he's almost sensed the tension.
Yeah.
He's sweating, too. You see his neck shiny there. He is absolutely on a mission to try to get up in the midst of this championship fight. Here's Beans Forster there as well, and they're side by side for the lead. Soto and Nicholson into Cunningham.
Oh boy, watch for this move. Soto, if he can, as we've talked about, if he can stick it here, and he can't. Nicholson just has enough, shuts the door, but Deacon Greenfield up into 4th, pushing Hibbett into 5th. And Beans Forster has slipped from 5th to 6th. Here, Wanchi Lin, a great start, up into 7th in front of Schooler.
Court Schmidt and John Reyes almost had it coming together. By the way, Court is up a number of spots, 5 in the first half of lap.
I was going to say that was a magnificent start for Court, and great to see him coming up here and see what he's going to be. I'm also intrigued to see what Sally Mott's going to be able to do with this 12th place starting spot, because she was sure impressive as well. But look at this up front right now. Nicholson and Soto driving away.
Yeah, didn't have this on my bingo card. This is a bit interesting.
I sure didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1 second back to Burkhardt. I think he can make that time up, but it's going to take him a lap or two.
Yeah, and it looks like he's struggling either with the tires not coming up to temp or dirt. Not being very clean. He's feeling something on those tires, but that big move down to the inside, I think that really may have hurt him. Oh. I'm not sure that went quite the way he wanted. Look at this. Now Hibbett coming back onto Greenfield.
And I think he's going to clear Greenfield, but just.
Oh, just.
And then Forster and Schooler are side by side. This 110 fell backwards for spots on the start. So he was, all these drivers that move forward, well, somebody had to go backwards, and Schooler was one of them. And Forster's got this inside lane. If he can hang on through turn 1, he'll have the preferred line through 3.
And I'll tell you, I think Schooler, and a couple other people were just massively surprised by what Morgan did. And just caught him out. Ooh, this is really close. Schooler on the inside of Forster. How they didn't touch, and I'm not sure they didn't actually. And they are still side by side here scrapping. And now Beans technically should have the inside better run. And look at 1G right there, trying to figure out, all right, who do I go with? And he opts to go with the guy with the inside line. Not always, not the worst plan in the world. And look at Court Schmidt.
Yeah, right up here in the mix, in the top 10. He's got a few spots for the taking if he can carve his way through it. Little contact there. Reyes and Wanshi had a bit of a coming together and knocks the 29 off to the left.
See, now, of course, could be able to take any kind of advantage there as Schooler and Beans side by side. And that's going to give everybody up in front of them a little bit of breathing room here. But I am mega impressed with Deacon Greenfield right now. What a race he's putting on.
Yeah, P5 still. Although Hibbett has re-cleared him for 4th place, he's still hanging on to this front group. Now, speaking of the front group, they are one again. Nicholson and Soto have been run down by Burkhardt. That didn't take very long. And I was surprised that they got the advantage they did in the first place, so we'll see what they can do to hang on to the 40 and 132. Now, Camden, I know he would like to win this race and go out on a real high note, but he would win the championship finishing right here. So as long as he keeps his eyes on the 40, he's going to be in a great spot. But Burkhardt is going to split the difference between the two leaders.
Yep, just splits right inside. And I'll tell you what, when this settles out, I'd like to go back to Tower Turn on this lap because that's where Morgan absolutely ate into that margin. His roll speed through there was just stunning. Right here, actually even before that, when you see the, because it was look at the gap.
I think it was into Cunningham is where he made up all this time. The braking, look, I mean, he closed up 5, 6, 7 car lengths in the braking in one corner.
Yeah, he caught him a lot here, and then watch his roll speed on entry here. These other guys had to slow it down a little bit, and look at that. And he didn't have to get rid of that much of it either. You know what I mean?
Well,
wow, that
leading.
was impressive.
In the time that we went to go watch that replay, he's leading the race. I'll mark that. We'll look at it again in a bit.
Yeah, and as he split the 2. Let's see now, but look at Nicholson trying to make something happen, trying to open the arc up here, which is not an altogether bad play. Let's watch the move here.
At turn 17, onto the front straightaway, where he got it done. Right here.
Just moves over.
And then while all that was going on, and while we're still in replay mode here, I saw the 29 of John Reyes get turned around. I didn't see exactly how. He was right ahead of Wan Shi Lin. Perhaps this was the moment. Off into 17. Is there some contact right here? Yep.
Oh.
He gets tripped around there. I think it was that board and into the concrete.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about Sally Mott reading what was happening there? She's up to 9th. Played that to perfection. Yeah, she is.
Nicholson, Burkhardt, Hibbett.
Back in front.
I mean, this is just unbelievable, this battle. 13 minutes to go. I mean, this race is already flying through. We're nearing halfway already. Morgan takes a slightly defensive line there into tower turn.
Yeah, he does, and that allowed Nathan to really roll speed through that corner relative to Burkhardt, and that allowed, of course, Hibbett, you know, who he was defending, is now just glued to him. But Nicholson now, he's got opportunity here, clear track. See what he's going to be able to do here. On board with Beans, tucked right in behind Giancarlo.
It's really interesting also to watch the footwork there. He went back to left foot braking because, oh, let's see the 110 run a little wide. Went back to left foot braking just to get the car turned in, but he'll use his right to slow it down most times. And to switch between right and left foot braking is challenging to do, even in a sim context.
It really, really is. And, you know, he had a really nice run there on Giancarlo and elected just to give him a little bit of a nudge because he wants to bring both of them up and get into the scrum to play. They may have done it. They're right there suddenly. Right
in the mix. Half a second up to Nathan Nicholson. He's put on a heck of a performance in this race.
Yes, he is.
And maybe spooking Burkhardt.
Just turned his best lap. Just turned his best lap at 2:37.4.
Whoop, Clatterbuck around turn 17.
Oops.
There was some contact that led to this. 91 was also wide, so I think there was also 372 there of Evan Hamidman.
Yeah.
What happened to the 91 to get him off course? Ooh, there was more contact. Rich Green and
wow.
He tied together on entrance.
Yeah. Well, this is getting kind of rowdy, isn't it?
I'd say so.
Oh.
They just kind of come together. They both were looking for that same area on the racetrack.
And meanwhile, Nicholas Rice-Puto is back in 20th.
Yeah, he got...
Not the day he wanted here. Yeah.
No, he was involved in that lap 1, turn 1 collision. We didn't mention it when we saw it, but he got turned around with the 80 of Wozencroft, and he just hasn't really been able to salvage much since that.
No.
So, unfortunate for him, he'll not be repeating.
You know, and it's interesting here watching this battle up front. Every time now that Morgan gets close to Nicholson as they come into a turn, you can see Hibbett look to make a little bit of a move. Morgan has to move over just to defend a little bit, and Nicholson gets that gap again. It's gone from half a second down to a quarter of a second like it is now.
And it's so fascinating to watch the entry into tower turn when these cars are braking kind of at that curb on the left, and they're using it like a ramp to stop the car translating sideways before they turn in. Because they're carrying momentum sideways as we've got this battle for the lead again. Burkhardt on driver's left.
Yeah, but what is Nicholson going to do? He says, no, thank you. And he had position, but that is, between the two championship contenders, no less.
Yeah, Burkhardt felt that the 110 of Schoolers in the grass.
Man.
That's the only.
Again.
I mean, if the on-ramp was covered in turf, we know he'd still take it. I mean, look at this.
Look at Deacon. Is he going to try and fill the? You bet he is. There's enough room for a Mazda and a couple of sheets of paper. Might as well give it a go here. This is spectacular stuff. Hibbett way out wide. I wonder if he didn't get damaged in that touch.
Or a slowdown, because he dropped quite a ways, and this is not what he wanted to see. Let's go back. We're going to have to go back quite a ways to get this again, but I think it was leaving Le Mans here. So, all right, so the two leaders ahead, they make contact. Morgan comes to cover off Camden, but he's already there right here. Does he get to the inside at? No, he doesn't. So he didn't get a slowdown there, and he didn't get one there.
I think he's got damage.
Oh, that would be huge if he did.
Oh, no kidding.
He's still kind of in the mix, so I don't know if it's bad, but...
Yeah.
Oh, this is getting rowdy, though. He's not where he wants to be.
No, he's back with these guys that are just scrapping for anything right now.
Greenfield, they've kind of fallen like stones together in this top 5 fight. Now they're 6th and 7th.
To me, it's going to be really intriguing to see what kind of lap times now Camden's turning. He's back in 7th.
Yeah, last time by was a 39 compared to the 35 that he'd run. That was all with all that chaos that we pointed out.
Right.
But he's trending 0.7 of a second slower, while Morgan Burkhardt is up 0.8 on his lap, and he's going for the lead. So this could be a tide turning moment when those two came together.
Yep.
As long as, I mean, Camden's still fairly close to where he needs to be, but if he falls too much more and Morgan wins this race,
he just dove inside Greenfield, and I think he got that pass done.
He did.
Yep.
So the left front would be where the damage would be. I mean, we see the nose damage for sure, but I don't think there's any kind of suspension damage unless, oh, you know what, Greg?
Look at the steering wheel.
Yeah, let's see if it's straight.
No.
A little cocked to the right there.
Not terrible.
No, he'll manage that, but I don't think it's perfect.
No.
You see, it didn't require a lot of left input to go left. Yeah, you see there how he didn't require to turn. There's definitely something. And on the braking, it's really wonky, isn't it, Greg? It's a lot worse than it looks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not going to be fun to drive.
No. Boy, he's, hey, I said in the tease, didn't I? If you win a championship here, you're going to earn it. And he's working on that right now. That moved him up into 6th. That last lap was a 2:39.3 compared to the front guys, Nicholson running a 2:38.8. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, Soto wants to be a part of this party, and Nicholson and Burkhardt trying to deny it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and Burkhardt just got parked, and look at that move down to the inside by Soto. Giancarlo running way wide.
Yeah, they all just came together here. The gloves are off, if they weren't already. Lap 6 of 8 with 6.5 minutes to go.
And Hibbett crossed the line in 4th. Now I think Beans he got by on Beans. What did he run here? It was a 2:38.5 for Camden with a damaged car.
That's a pretty solid lap.
But he gets hit again and again by Burkhardt.
They're 3 wide there. I think Forster's on the outside. I don't think Hibbett knew that. Burkhardt's in really hot, too hot. He had to stop. And now they're just coming together and losing all sorts of spots. This is going to come to blows here, I think, between these two. That's been the third time they've made contact.
And right now, Camden is, I just want to stay right behind Morgan at this point.
It doesn't matter if they finish 15th and 16th as long as Camden is right there, right? I mean,
exactly.
He's just got to take the 40 with him if he goes down.
And look at Nicholson wanting not to give Soto any kind of a draft. And Soto, he just rolled great speed around the outside of the safety pin and has potential position here. This is through Fangio. But look who's sneaking up the inside, Beans.
Where did he come from?
I know. He has just been driving brilliantly here. Going with Nicholson, trying to freeze Soto.
Oh, he's in really hot. You see all the steering lock he had to put in. He saved it. That was almost a mess, though.
Yeah, that's what you call push, folks.
Yeah.
You could hear the tire squealing.
Drove like a Freightliner dump truck there for a moment. Here comes Morgan up
and look
the
what
inside.
Morgan's doing.
Oh,
hey,
contact.
I mean, it was 3 or 4 corners ago. Hibbett was right behind Morgan, and now Morgan is 3rd and Hibbett is 7th.
Yeah, I think Morgan's starting to really get his elbows out. He's feeling the desperation because he's not been able to completely dispatch Camden Hibbett. Ran Beans off the course there just a bit, and Forster recovered and tucks back in line.
Yep. Hibbett now's got to figure out a way around Giancarlo and then get back to Deacon is driving brilliantly here. And look who's joined this back. Wan Chi Lin is right there.
Is in a great spot, and you're right about Deacon Greenfield. He's been right in the midst of this fight the whole night. Giancarlo Sculla, though, wants 5th back. He's going to go for it. 2 laps to go next time by the stripe.
Look at Camden was thinking about if they float wide, I'm gonna be in position, and neither of them did it. And Giancarlo's now down inside of Deacon. It's an absolute drag race here at Hibbett. Oh, 4 minutes to go.
This is not playing out the way that I thought it would. I thought Morgan and Camden would be right up at the front, but they're just struggling to even stay in the top 5 at the moment.
Yeah.
And it might be between these two or potentially Forster. Soto's going to look to the right. And Morgan
here
again,
he
a big
comes.
one. And she's just catching everybody by surprise, Greg, and just Miata-sized hole. Here comes my Miata.
Yeah, he's just throwing it. This is a Morgan we haven't seen because, normally he drives so smooth, reserved, a lot of strategy. Here, he knows his only mission is with Camden sitting way back there. He's got to get ultra aggressive and get to the front. And if there's a gap, he's just stuffing that number 40 in it.
Soto trying to outside of 7.
He did that before, remember? And again, same sort, but here comes Morgan. Morgan did roll some great exit speed.
Might give the 77 a shove here and help him along. And
Oh.
Nicholson tried to cover. He wasn't able to completely get there, and Soto's going to keep the overlap.
Look at this. This is like a pace lap at serious speed through the Fangio curves. This is incredible.
Whoa! And a huge lunge from Giancarlo Schooler. He passed 2 for 1 right there.
And now Hibbett's going to try and follow him through, and Hibbett got the position on Greenfield. But look at this battle. It's Morgan and Bean side by side, neither willing to give. Now Beans exits all the way out. Morgan tried to stay with him and have that overlap, but he just couldn't make it quite work. And here comes Hibbett trying to complete that pass on Deacon. Yeah, Hibbett, that car does not work well in a straight line right now at all.
And certainly the left-handers seem a bit awkward. It seems to be oversteering to the left and understeering to the right. So it's not only the straight line performance, it's the cornering as well. But he's just got to stay near the top 5 here to cover off Burkhardt in case he were to win this race and eat into the points by a bunch. Now, I think he's still okay where he is, but you got to fight all the way to the end. You can't just let this one come to chance. Oh, you can't assume.
Not at all. Yeah, you can see, the right-handers are really difficult for Camden. The left-handers, he gets beautiful rotation. Too much, but
if it did
here
that
we
both
go.
ways, it'd be fast.
Yeah, exactly. It rarely works quite like that. Look at Beans now. He's going to try and dive underneath Soto and track through.
Soto's going to get run into the fence. That was tight.
Oof, so close. White flag. Morgan pops it. Yeah, there's contact between Morgan and Soto.
What does Forster do now? He's going to have to pick the pocket of both these cars if he wants by to have a shot at the race win into turn 1. Morgan on the right, Soto on the left. Schooler's to the inside of Forster, and there's contact with both packs.
Look at how close this is. Hibbett sitting right now.
Oh, they're all in
moved
hot.
Up a little. Oh, this is incredible. Hibbett down underneath Schooler, trying to get 6th. I think he's got that if he can hang on to it. Schooler obviously is going to try and stay put around the outside here at 5. And he's got better straight line, and he's got a little toe coming from Beans here. And Hibbett's going to have to give it up again.
And not what Hibbett wanted to see, especially with Burkhardt in second. And right behind the race leader, and Schooler throwing a defensive line here into 7. Greenfield on the outside, just trapped with nowhere to go.
Yeah. This is just incredible stuff here. Talk about heart in your throat moments here in this battle for the championship. Now Hibbett getting, boy, that's what he wanted, was Juan Chi to come up behind him and maybe give him just enough of a push to get the nose ahead on Giancarlo here.
Watch this. That's a little tight into Cunningham now, and Hibbett's off course.
Hibbett's off.
Little hip check. He's going to cling to 6th for now. Battle's going to shift to the lead. Morgan Burkhardt give himself the best shot. He's got to win this race. It's good. We're going to be racing calculators here in a minute, Greg, but until then.
No kidding. This is incredible.
Done all he can do other than pass this last car.
Yep, here we go into this glorious sequence of corners. Absolutely love it here. Bishop, that double apex. Now hard braking into Jean de Bien. Look at Nathan's car bouncing over those curbs. Now, I was wondering whether we were going to see Morgan try and stuff it down the inside. Pretty even through that whole complex here.
Yeah, but Nicholson got a better run. He gained a little time. He's going to lose it to the draft, but he gained a bit. That might just be enough to cover him. All the while, Hibbett and Schooler, they're going to be battling to the death here for 5th place. I don't know that Burkhardt's got enough to get Nicholson, but we're about to see him try to put on a masterclass here. Last corner of the season. Here he comes.
Oh! Look down the inside, but Nicholson had the wide in and got that thing turned in and up. Where is Hibbett? Hibbett just trying to stay in front of Deacon. Can't do anything with Schooler. Here we go, coming to the line. Nathan Nicholson gets the win over Burkhardt. Soto, did Soto get him at the line? He did. No, okay, I didn't think so. I was wondering, where did that come up?
Yeah, Soto P3 and Forster, Schooler, Hibbett in 6th.
2nd and 6th.
Well, I would say that with the
I
win,
think that'll do, yeah.
He should be all right, but again, we have to, hello.
Holy cow, that's Sally.
Yeah, there was a finish with thousandths between her and a couple other people. Let's go have a look at that. Yes, please.
Yeah. Here they come.
Wozencroft. And that is Court. Look at that finish.
Yeah. Holy cow.
That's for 9th and 10th.
What a comeback drive for Wozencroft from near dead last. That was superb.
Grabbed a top 10 for the stats book at the end of all of that.
Yes, he did. Wow. Court Schmidt ends up in 10th as well. Wow. Some great stuff here. Now, wait a minute. I think my scoring may have paused. That's what's catching me out here.
Yep, that's happened. Yep. So Nathan Nicholson
that's exactly right.
has won. Morgan Burkhardt second. Soto third. Then Forster, Schooler, Hibbett sixth, but he should be, pending results, should be the champion here. But let's have a look at the race results and cool things down while we wait to chat with our race winners. That was wild.
That was absolutely crazy. There you can see Nicholson, Burkhardt, Soto, the podium. Beans, Forster, and Giancarlo Schooler complete your top 5. A wounded Camden Hibbett in 6th. A great try by Deacon Greenfield there, Kyle, and Wanchi Lin. And welcome Sally Mott. What a drive she put on here. And Wozencroft from near dead last to 10th. Superb job.
Yeah, great job there for Sally Mott. Top 10 in her first evening of competition here. Court Schmidt, 11th, just missed out on a top 10 run there in race 2. Nicholas Rice-Puto fought all the way back to 13th. Not the night he was hoping for. Same with Andrew Gilliland, but they had pace and good runs in the chamber. Just couldn't get the shot off there.
Yeah, and Farah co-owner Jose de las Casas, he was way back early and came up to 12th, so that was one of his better drives. Great way to end the season here. But wow, what this championship battle, as we take a look at the rest of the field here, just ridiculously compelling, wasn't it? Just trying to keep track of things, and I think those 3 bits of contact between the 2 championship contenders are going to be. I don't think any of them were done with malice or intent. It was just racing and being squeezed or whatever. But wow, I mean that could have easily determined this championship.
Yeah, that was very, very tight. Let's talk with a couple of the drivers that were up in the mix there as we look at the final page there. Charles Boley in the 205 now. Beans Forster finished 4th in race number 2, but he was in the mix so much tonight, I think it's worth talking to him anyway. Beans, what a fantastic drive tonight. It got chaotic there for sure, but you managed to come home in top 5 in a couple races here, so I'm sure you're pretty stoked.
Yeah, that was intense racing, especially when we have Sebring as the last race of a season. It's always the most chaotic, but even with all the chaos, it was a lot clean, super tight racing and not a lot of careless mistakes. So I'm blown away, but that was immensely fun, as it always is at the end.
Yeah, you had to come up from 12th in that first race up into that battle at the front, and then in the second race you were able to play in it the whole time. It was nuts, what was going on out there. And as you said, it was relatively clean. What did you see happening around you? Because there were a couple of good little knocks that Morgan and Camden had. Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't see it. I just saw their drop in speed, and then the opportunities present itself to kind of make my way up a bit. But the track was super hot. It was like 130 degrees. So in instances like this, I don't mind starting that far back because I'm able to coast in the corners more and put less heat in the tires. And that's just kind of what I did in the first and the second race, kind of leading up there towards the end.
Well, you did a great job, and I noticed you had the socks on the incorrect feet. Was that like a rally sock, like a rally hat?
Oh, I'm hoping maybe it was a little bit of good luck, I got to try something new, so I guess it works.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a great drive in that first race to get you up to be able to play inside the insane top 6 or 7 that we had here. Well done, bud.
Yeah, thanks. That was so much fun. 3 wide in a couple spots. It was super hairy, but I cannot wait to go back and watch that.
You're going to enjoy it. It was awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Guys.
Thank you. And let's move on now to Josh Soto. Finished 3rd in race number 2. and 6th in race 1. Josh, tonight was a pretty fun battle. You were up there mixing it up, and it just the revolving doors didn't land with you in the top spot, but a fun battle. Take us through it.
Oh yeah, it was a very fun battle. Had a great start. Got up into P2, almost P1. And going into the final lap, had a little bit of contact going into turn 17. Just couldn't catch back up to the top 2.
Yeah, it looked like you got in there well, and then ended up, floating out so wide. But man, you were really on pace, aggressive, and up there duking it out. That must have been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's always fun racing, racing with all these talented drivers. They're like really, really good. So we learn things from each other, and it's always a lot of fun.
Well, Josh, you had a really good season as well, and I think it's entirely possible that you may have moved from 5th to 4th in the points because Nicholas didn't have a particularly great couple of races. So well done to you, sir, and we just love watching you race and love calling it. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. And let's see who else we got. We got Nathan Nicholson, winner of race number 2, and just, making it real spicy up there. 4th in race 1, but race 2, you were the dominant driver, and you had to look back, but I don't want to say you never looked back there, but you led a whole bunch of laps and won this thing. Take us through your night.
Yeah, no, it was a blast race. So far, Sebring's the only track I've won FSS races at, so, we got to try to change that next season, but no, this track's always great for racing, plenty of drafting. It's a more technical and super bumpy Road America. So, it's always great racing here, and with this group of people, it's always a blast.
And it looked like on that last lap through what would be 15, 16, you just attacked the curbs. Your car was just bouncing everywhere, but you really got through that corner with a huge head of steam. And that looked like that may have been the final play that really capped it off here.
Yeah, I know the hardest part of that last lap was keeping Morgan behind until then, and I know I have pace in that corner. It's something, I don't know what about it, but in real life this year and on the sim, I've always been good there. So biggest part was keeping him behind me, trying to get a better exit than him, and like you said, really sailed it through there.
Yeah, you did.
But it worked, and I was able to have a little bit of a gap going to 17 even, and that really made the rest of the lap easy.
Yeah, it was really, really spectacular. Just an absolutely phenomenal drive, and I hope we see you in season 3 of this year. You've been a great addition, man.
Yeah, maybe I'll pop out for Sebring and win another one, but
there you go.
No, I'd love to run them a lot more, but there's a lot of other stuff going on, so we'll see how schedules line up.
Understood, man. It's a delight when you're racing. We love watching it, love calling it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, Nathan. And let's talk with Morgan Burkhardt, who came up just short tonight in race 2 and race 1 and the championship. Morgan, second place. You're not usually there, but tonight you are. A hard-fought battle all the way to the end.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, regardless of the outcome. It was a lot of fun racing these guys. I came in, I knew what I had to do, and I knew I had to win race 1, and I just tried to play blocker in the pack and just stir up drama, go like slower through corners, make the pack, instead of 5 cars, make it 10, 15, 20 cars, make it as big as I could, so that if you make a mistake, you go from 2nd to 5th, you'd go from 2nd to 15th. So it's a lot more exaggerated with the differences there, and it kind of worked out, especially in race 2. It did a little bit, but not quite enough when it needed, and just overall not a real lucky night for me.
No, it wasn't, and it's unfortunate, obviously, but I'll tell you what, the end of that first race, were you surprised when Camden came sailing through there, and it looked like you were so close to being able to maybe make that outside in move at the exit of 17 work? That was just ridiculously fun and close.
Yeah, no, I knew if he was going to try something, and I didn't think he was going to get that far up there, and he really laid it in deep in the brakes. But if I hadn't have adjusted what I was doing in the middle of the corner, and we probably would have made contact and it would have ended both of our championships right there. But it was just kind of instead of fighting it right now and trying to go side by side when I know I'm gonna die, it's
Yeah.
live to fight another day. But in hindsight, I should have let myself get killed. But it is what it is. It was a really close finish. I don't even remember what the margin was, but
28
coming out of the corner.
1,000s.
Yeah, and that's like messing up a shift or just getting a little bit of a push. But it is what it is. He made a really good move, and he was very assertive with it. And there's definitely things that both of us could have done different looking in hindsight, but that's
Sure.
hindsight's always 2020.
Well, you guys, I think I counted 3 times when, nothing, with malice or anything, but, 3 little bumps that you and Camden had. You guys kept it interesting right down to the end, man. What a season, and so close to your 4th championship, but nonetheless, always a treat. And, I think everybody needs to remember that you didn't run, the first few races here, and you had to come from way behind to do what you did. It was an incredible season, Morgan. As always, man, congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And yeah, it was definitely difficult to always be on the back foot, and you don't have any drop rounds, so it's just you have to be perfect pretty much all the time. So it's I had a lot of fun, and big congratulations to everybody else in the field.
Absolutely, well done, bud.
Thank you, guys.
Camden Hibbett, your champion for 2024 and season 2. And Camden, the challenging season. You just had to one-up Morgan over and over and over again. Every stat in the book, you were just a little bit better. Take us through the season quickly and your race tonight.
Yeah, that was not a race that I could have even imagined. That was I did not see that coming at all. There was more parking and strategic play, and there was so much. The game of chess that we always talk about week in and week out was times 10 today. You had to be thinking laps in advance. I know Morgan was chasing fast laps and I was chasing them back. It was the whole point situation between the two of us really threw a wrench not only into our battle, but the battle for really the whole lead pack, especially in the second race.
Yeah, it really did. In that second race, you and Morgan actually, tapped each other about 2 or 3 times that I could count. Did that last one, did that ding you up just a little bit? Because it looked like the car wasn't working as well after that last little touch.
I definitely had some, I think I had some damage to the front end. It definitely felt like it. I don't think it was from contact with Morgan. I think it was from one of the stacks in one of the corners, like maybe into the hairpin.
Okay.
But no, we were just racing hard. And obviously my move into 17 on the final lap of race 1 was one of the biggest sends, if not the biggest send that I've ever done. Was it dirty? I don't know. Was it aggressive? For sure. As I told Morgan, I was sitting in 3rd, not knowing how the points were going to shake out with a race left, and I'm like, I got to do something sitting in that situation. So it managed to work out in my favor, and the aggression was definitely amped up tonight, but it's been as clean as you can get for almost the whole entire season between the two of us. It has been an incredible season. I think it was 11 points at the end to separate the championship. I don't know if that's the closest we've ever had, but it's got to be up there. So awesome racing with Morgan all season long, and we'll do it again in a couple weeks.
You bet. And I got to tell you, your move, it was not dirty. It was very aggressive. I called it when it happened, the move of the gods. It was just spectacular, but it was clean, my friend. Don't give that another thought. And as a result, bud, you're champion. Congratulations.
Sounds good. I can't. It's a huge props to Morgan for all the clean racing all season long. I know we're teammates and we're gonna race really hard, but it's been an incredibly fun season. I can't wait to do it again. Do it again in a couple weeks.
We can't wait either, man. Congratulations. Enjoy it.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be presenting you some nice stuff in 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Camden. Well, Greg, in 2 weeks' time, we get to issue a whole bunch of awards and fun things celebrating the season and the drivers. But, man, what another fantastic season this was.
Oh, it's incredible. And you think about it, the finish in the first race at Road America with the top 3 side by side banging off of each other as they cross the line. Camden's move here at the end in 17 of the first race. There were so many magical, spectacular moments. And, you think about the progression Camden's had. At the end of last year, he joined us kind of late, and was good. but just made these massive leaps, and now ends up with a championship and beats a 3-time champion. Yeah, it's just been one of those absolutely incredible seasons here with just spectacular racing. And we've been fortunate enough, thanks to Court Schmidt and Full Send Sims, to be able to be here and call it and have an absolutely great time with it. We got to say thanks to Court and Full Send Sims. They have been absolutely superb with envisioning this, making it all happen. Farah for coming on board, mid-season. What a great ad they've been. Final Turn Motorsports and Rob Greenwood, 3P Logistics and Frank Rodriguez. These two guys and their prep shops. Phenomenal in the real world and stepping up to help here in the sim world, and of course Wine Country Motorsports as well. Just brilliant stuff. Once again, I have to say a huge thank you to Finney and DeCuna, one for filling in for me last week at Road America, and the camera shots we had again tonight, Kyle, were just off the hook. And as always, my friend, so much fun to call a race with you. Can't wait for the award ceremony coming up in 2 weeks. And remember, season 3 starts Tuesday night, August 20th. But we want to see you in 2 weeks, as those award ceremonies are always a blast. So until then, we have a week off. Then we'll see you at the award ceremony. We'll see you all then, folks.